Hey everybody, welcome back to another exciting episode of the Stash Report from the Stash Project. This will be our December compilation video for anybody who's new to the channel or just found this via the screwed up YouTube algorithm as a suggested video. Welcome. We do this beginning of every month, and this is the look at the expected 1/24th, 1/25th scale plastic automotive kits for the month of December of 2020. So there are a few domestic releases this month, quite a few actually, and then there's a fairly decent amount of overseas stuff as well. So a good month all in all, I would say. So let's take a look at things here on the domestic side of things. Over at Salvino's JR, the December release will be a Darrell Waltrip driven Junior Johnson owned Budweiser Monte Carlo Aero, the one with the sloped rear window. Well, I say Aero back is the actual technical term for that Monte Carlo design, but that'll be a reissue of the old monogram NASCAR kit with new livery. So that'll be the December Salvino's release. We'll talk about that more in this week's video. And over at round two, several releases coming. I would assume that most of these will make it in time for Christmas. A few of them will probably come in towards the end of the month, but all in all, I think there's some things here that should interest most of you folks. I honestly don't know there's anything in here that I would necessarily purchase, but hey, whatever. Uh, Over at AMT, they're going to reissue the USA 1 sponsored Chevy Silverado monster truck. It is going to have a new decal sheet, obviously, as most of these reissues always do. Tooling originally from 1989. Seen a few releases over the course of the intervening period between that in 02, 09, and then 2011 in a collector's tin. So this will be the first time, almost 10 years since it was last released, but another reissue of the Silverado and a monster truck, which of course I'm sure will angry everybody who wants just a street version of the Silverado kit. You're going to get from Auto World. Now, this is very important to listen to the words coming out of my mouth here. This is an Auto World exclusive. This is going to be a 500-piece run. You have to go to Auto World's website, which is the sort of a mail order company that Round 2 owns, in order to buy this. This is not going to be available in stores. If it comes up on eBay, it's because somebody bought one and is reselling it for more than it's worth, and so on and so forth. So, again, Auto World exclusive, 500 pieces. Get yours now. Ford Courier in the Superstones Firestone livery. Now, this is going to be a flare-sided bed Ford Courier, which, of course, is the captive import of the Mazda pickup truck. The original tooling from this is from 1978. It was last reissued in a flare side box in 1995. That would be the one I bought. I built back in the day, the year I graduated high school. It says it's going to have new vector wheels included. Now, I don't necessarily know if that means that they've tooled up new wheels for this or is pulling the vector wheels out of something else. There would have been new wheels tooled up for one of the General Lees back in the day, since Round 2's taken ownership of the tooling. So maybe that may actually legitimately be new tools specific for this. Seems like that's probably not the case, because you wouldn't go into dropping $5,000 on 500-piece reissue. But be that as it may, the delivery is obviously new. I can't find any instance of this being reissued in the past, although it may have been a special issue back in the late 70s that nobody's ever put on scale mates. But this specific version of it is only, again, 500 pieces and only on the Auto World store. There is going to be what they're calling the Ford Courier minivan, which is the fleet side bed of this with a great big camper shell that will be released as a general release in 2021, probably in the first quarter. Makes sense that if you're running 500 pieces of the flare side off, you're probably also producing the flare side of the step side bed. You're also producing the flare side bed at the same time. The regular run kits, 2,000, 3,000, whatever Round 2's run are on a kit these days. So it's probably coming next month or soon thereafter. But this specific one is limited edition. So do with that what you will. Let me turn off my Facebook notifications because something is dinging in the background as we film. There, that's better. Also releasing the 1971 Ford Mustang with a James Bond Diamonds Are Forever tie-in. This is going to be the MPC kit. A lot of people seem to be insisting this should have been the AMT kit. Of course, the AMT kit is a race car at this point, so it would have required quite a bit of fiddling to get that back to normal. That may be more of a statement of people who don't understand that you cannot just run bits and pieces from different tools and combine them into a box. That's not how plastic injection manufacturing works, because you can only run the tooling as a tooling piece, and therefore you would have. I don't know how you would. I'm not sure how these people want to recreate this model kit in terms of using this body with these pieces and that engine and this chassis. And aside from the fact that they probably don't all probably don't fit together without causing a problem in assembly. And I know real modelers could do that, but remember, guys, we sell these kits to people who aren't real modelers. Real modelers know where to get a 71 Mustang without buying this kit specifically. But if you ran off both those kits at the same time to combine them into one, you would have thousands of pieces of model kits from both of those kits left over. You can recycle them, sure, but it's a lot of money to spend just to recycle the plastic to make a model kit. It's going to just be one or the other. And in this case, obviously, the AMT one being a race car, it's going to be the MPC kit. Yes, the MPC kit was a 71, a 72, and a 73, and now it's been backdated to 71. And in that process, it has the wrong hood and the wrong front end and all these other problems for it being a 1971 Mustang at this point. But they have tooled up new front pieces, which appears to be a new grill insert, which at least makes part of the kit a little bit more like a 1971. Still has the wrong hood, and still looks like most of the rest of the front end is still compromised. It does have new wheels, so that's going to have more sort of a civilian hubcap, much like the movie car had. And then it's also got pad printed tires, as well as new decals. 2008 was the last time that the 71 Mustang was out. This is sort of the nature, if you will, of what round two does. Sometimes it produces a kit that you haven't seen in 50 years. Other times it's going to give you this sort of half-measured thing where they're trying to spend, I don't want to say the least amount possible because that makes them sound cheap, but, a reasonable amount of investment into something to try to make it better than it is. But they're just not gonna make a new one, especially now that we've known since the summer that Revell is going to be doing it on a brand new tool, 71 Mustang, probably that will spawn a series of 71 to 73 Mustangs. If you're round two and you're looking at another company, probably in 2021 at some point, it's going to release a brand new version of something you've had or sitting around for the last 50 years, you're not going to spend a lot of money fixing it. You're just going to go, hey, we'll get ours out first. So if anybody really wants a 71 Mustang, they can buy it, and then, things go as things go. Lastly, from AMT, you have a reissue of the 1972 Chevrolet Racing Wedge truck. And this is certainly something that's gotten a lot of attention once it was announced that they were going to be reissuing this. You can build it just as a 72 Chevrolet Cheyenne, which will probably be the approximation of what it was in the last reissue in the Hot Truck series, which was in the mid-2000s. The Racing Wedge version, I don't think has ever been reissued from the 1970s. This is going to have pad-printed white wall tires, so obviously a new decal sheet, the vintage box art, and all that happiness. Now, I, as a transportation professional, have a lot of, wows about this kit in terms of what it is, how it represents what it is, and the fact that it probably is not a functional piece of equipment. But it seems to be super duper 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 popular. I assume that has more to do with people who've never owned one and have always wanted to own one but didn't want to pay $150 for one, and so they've always been pining for the fjords about this, and now they're going to get it and realize that, wow, that was a really weird thing to want all these years, because this is the way this Racing Wedge, which has two single axles in the back, or single wheel axles, I should say. If you were going to make one of these things in real life, you would get a 1-ton plus Chevrolet pickup truck that has a dually set, and you would build a racing wedge. You build a ramp body and put it on that, and that would be what you do. Taking what AMT did with this back in the day, or MPC, I can't remember even whose kit this is originally, but it's coming out as an AMT kit this time. They took another rear axle and put it in the kit. So when you assemble this thing, you take a second rear axle, complete with gear pumpkin and differential, the whole 9 yards, and you glue it onto the spare tire. because there's no suspension for it, at least not in the buildups of ones I've seen. And there's an input for the differential to it, so it's not even just a straight axle back there. It's a really odd compromise for that. And a quarter ton, even if Cheyenne's a half ton pickup truck back in '72, isn't something payload wise. Even if you throw another single wheeled axle on the back, it's going to have enough payload to pull a car around. They show like a '73 Charger or something along that lines stuck on the back of the thing on the box art, and I'm pretty sure that a 2-ton car would effectively destroy this thing in as far as being like 1-to-1 thing. I understand that like you could tow something on a twin single wheel double axle trailer without it collapsing, although technically a lot of cars are overweight for that. Like if you see those rinky-dink U-Haul car trailers that get pulled around, you're not supposed to put more than, I think it's 3,500 pounds on one of those things. If U-Haul knows for a fact that you're towing a car that weighs more than 2 tons or more than 4,000 pounds, they will not rent you that trailer because you will break that trailer in the process of using it. So yeah, but that's also you're towing it behind something, and the towing capacity of a truck is often a wildly different and larger number than the payload, being what you put in the bed before you snap the suspension and break the frame in half. The payload of it is. This is not you're not towing a car on a racing wedge. You're hauling it on the racing wedge, and I know it's a model and I shouldn't care, but internally in my truck driver person, that's a bad idea. That's like the people who throw all that scrap in the back of like an Azusa pickup truck, take to the dump, and it's going down the road past you, and you're like, wow, that thing's gonna break before it gets there. Same thing with this. Not to mention the whole part where the axle doesn't have the suspension, so like you'd like bang, bang off of every bump that you went over. I don't understand. I mean, I totally get why, because this is not a 1-ton pickup truck, and it's not a dually pickup truck or anything else like that. And clearly, you're just throwing this body onto an existing pickup truck and throw an extra axle on the back, so that it kind of looks like it might be what it would be. Because nobody would ever tow anything or haul anything with a single axle quarter-ton pickup truck like that. So maybe the way they accomplished it. Reissue, yay! Right? Why? I mean, I might pick up one to split the thing in half, to build a '72 Cheyenne pickup truck, because I didn't buy one of those ones back in 2008, and then to take the racing wedge and reconfigure the fender opening to support a dually axle, and then put it onto like a monogram F350 or one of the Snap Fast Dodge Ram pickup trucks or something like that. Over at NPC, reissue of the 1336 Wild One Chevrolet Modified. Going to have pad printed racing tires in it. The last time this saw the light of day was a 2004 AMT Model King Reeboks, tooling itself from 1975. So it's another one of those kits. Now they're talking about the NPC Modifieds and the fact that there are 4 of them and collect them all. I think the other one of these, if I'm not mistaken, was from a few months ago, the 34 Ford Slammer that came out back in September. So apparently there are still 2 more of these, and it sounds like they're going to release all of them. Also, the 1/16 scale '73 Charger Richard Petty NASCAR kit. So this is a big scale 1/16. This might be the first time we've honestly seen a straight reissue out of Round 2. Now, Round 2 obviously has reissued a number of kits that they've done in the past with other things, right? Yeah, the Coca-Cola tie-in being the big one, right? There's a bunch of kits that were released, and then a few months to a year, 2 years later, they had a vending machine or an ice bucket or a bottles and a dolly or whatever the case might be with a Coca-Cola tie-in released with them. But this is just a straight reissue of the kit as it was reissued in 2013 after they did that one run of fun of the Street Charger and converted permanently back into a NASCAR kit. So this is being reissued just straight as that 2013 kit was done. Yeah, it was 7, 8 years ago by the time this comes out. So it's been a few days, and 7 years is that recycling window. If you look back at Revell prior to Hobbico going bankrupt, that was the window. 7 to 8 years was when you got the kits reissued all the time. But I think this is honestly the first time it's been reissued. We've seen a straight reissue out of round two. So it'd be interesting to watch and see if we see more of those coming along, or if this was just sort of a get out there in front of the new Salvino's JR tool, which we talked about more in the weekly regular video. And then lastly from MPC, from the 1960s, 1969 specifically, the last time these kits were out, and I do believe they plan to do all four of the ones that exist. The 1/32nd scale Wacky Races. These were a set of, I think, back in like an MPC General Mills ownership. That Wacky Races was a Hanna-Barbera list filler cartoons that they always did. They'd have something going on between the cartoons as the Saturday morning shows ran. I could vaguely remember that. They still did that in the 80s. And the Mean Machine, which was driven by Dick Dastardly and Muttley, is one of the four versions of this. They are snap tight. They're molded in color. They have like sort of a metal axle, a set of wheels almost, so that they are very, very free rolling. And yeah, I mean, the 1969 cartoon. So I have nothing to say about the design or anything about these kits because it's a 1969 cartoon. Obviously, the cartoons were crazy back then, so the vehicles from them are going to be even more so. Very interesting. When they went through the tooling and they were and like round two sold a bunch of tooling to Atlantis back in the fall. This must have been something they came across and were like, no, you know what, we're going to keep those. I think we can reissue those under our own brand name because, again, not seen since 1969. So that's a very interesting one for people who are old enough to remember them, basically. So yeah, I mean, it's a wacky race. There's should be interesting to see how well those actually end up selling in the end. The Revell, the 56 Chevy Del Rey should be coming out this month, as well as getting the release of the Revell of Germany box of the T1 with the camper stuff included with it. Also, possibly the 76 Chevy van will come out this month or next month. I believe the rebox of the brand new Revell of Germany Jaguar E-Type won't come out until at least January because the actual kit itself is just coming out in Europe in December itself. So instead of a normal September-October release where we would then get the kit around November, December, they're just getting it now. So it'll probably be January, February before we get that U.S. rebox of it. And I think that's in the 69 Roadrunner. That should probably be out this month as well. So we'll see what comes out with those and which ones sort of slide into January. There's no, we cover that fourth quarter flyer, but it's fourth quarter rather than it being a real deadline. And the only kit that's come out off of it so far is the S10, so the other ones are due. Overseas at Fujimi, we actually have a few releases, and these are all going to be just reissue stuff. The Toyota Alfred Velfire in a gray metallic, and then you may recall the stoplight stop signal sidewalk little quasi diorama piece. That's going to be reissued in a brown and a blue. Those two colors are apparently specific to certain areas in Japan, so there's that. Over at Tamiya, we're going to get the reissue of the Lotus Europa Special, which has all of the photo etch in it, and the new metal funnels for the engine, and the paper seat belts and all that stuff, as well as a reissue of the 1/12 scale Porsche 935 Martini liveried Group 5 race car. Both those kits may have been available in the United States sooner than they are available in Japan, which of course is the release date we're going from here. I believe the 935 just came out at the end of November here in the United States, and the Lotus Europa was supposed to be in first part of this week in December. So those kits may, again, be available here in the United States just a few days earlier than they are everywhere else. Over at Nunu, we should I don't want to say for sure with anything with Nunu because they'll miss the release date. But for sure this month we should get the Toyota Celica GT4 91 Tour de Course rally car and the Audi R8 Macau GT3 car. Those two for sure should be out in December at some point. The other stuff remains to be seen. We'll see how the release goes. Also, we should get the 1/20th scale McLaren MP4 2C as well. All three of those kits have been shown recently by Nunu on their social media feeds as December releases, and we'll see ultimately what that ends up looking like. Over at Hasegawa, a few straight reissues. Nissan Skyline R31 Nismo. the Lamborghini Miura SV in it with its crazy PE set, which makes all those front vents PE pieces, as well as the Leighton House sponsored 19 Porsche 962C from the one stop at the World Endurance Championship in Japan. So this is like this particular Leighton House is not. This is not the Japanese sports car prototype series. This is the World Endurance series, which always had a stop in Japan, and this is the German Leighton House team's one stop in Japan. If that makes sense, right? It's the World Endurance Championship cars at their stop in Japan. So it's sort of like the one time the Leighton House colors ran in Japan that year, and that's what they chose to model. It's a reissue. It's been out already a couple of times. And then we're also going to get the Mitsubishi Galant GTO 2000 GSR with the resin chin spoiler added. So resin chin spoiler, all the things, as Hasegawa has been doing. The Italia R92CP, the 1993 1,000 kilometers of Suzuka winner, is going to get reissued. That's the newer. I think it came out, the end of 2018 at this point. The R91, R92 new tool that they did, and this is going to be just a reissue of the R92 version of it with a set of new decals in it. You're going to get the Nissan R89C, which is their Japanese sports car prototype series version of the kit in its super details. This is the one with all of the white metal engine and white metal rear suspension and PE rear engine enclosure and all those things. Last time that kit was out was in the late 1980s, and it's $100 plus kit because of all the extra stuff you get with it. So that'll be out. And then you get the Volkswagen Type 2 microbus and its Moon Eyes livery. So that's a new set of decals and an older kit there. The Kubel wagon with its high float tires with the blonde girl, resin girl, all the things. The Suzuki Jimny with ski. I'm trying to think of Ski Friends, I believe is the way their term is. And this is the ski rack, the skis, and the plastic, injected molded plastic figures that used to come in the Lancia Delta kit back in the 1990s. So just recycling those pieces. And then the last thing from Hasegawa for December is the brand new tool Toyota Supra 3.0 GT Turbo. So that is, of course, again, not the Tamiya kit, not the Fujimi kit, a brand new tool. Toyota Supra, AZ70 3rd Gen. Give it to me, give it to me. You cannot send that kit to my house fast enough. And we're also, again, looking forward to the race car version of that. Yes. People will argue with me about that, but there's a race car version coming. And then lastly, for this video, we'll take a run through December Aoshuma. So on the standard sort of reissue train here, the 1990 Toyota Century, the 1983 Nissan Cedric Gloria Brome, the 89 Toyota Crown Royal, 2001 Nissan R34 Mordor, as we like to call it, the four-door R34 kit, the 1992 Toyota Mark II Tour 2 Grande, the 93 Toyota Cresta Chaser, the 1995 Cedric Gloria Ultima Y33, the 2001 Nissan R34 four-door Urace. So this is, of course, the Urace tuner version of the Mordor that we just mentioned a few seconds ago. The 1989 RX-7 FC3S in the BN Sports tuner version, and the 1984 Nissan Skylight R30 in its Genesis tuner version. So 3 kits that are the new ones for December, and they are a 2016 Toyota Crown Royal Traffic Police, and this will be the same Crown Royal police car that was already done a little earlier as a patrol car. This is a traffic car, so a little bit of different decals, and then it's got a high-rise extender light bar on it, as you would see in New England, or not New England necessarily, but the New York area, certain parts of Florida that are run by former New York cops. Also have that extendable light bar where it's on a set of scissor lifts and it goes up high so that you can see it over the line of traffic. Reissue of the 2000 Nissan F50 SEMA President. Those are kits, 2 versions of that kit you can build: Nissan SEMA, Nissan President, and both those kits have not been out since the mid-2000s. And then a 2015 Lamborghini Aventador Pirelli Edition. So this in 2015 was the 50th anniversary of Lamborghini. You may recall they reissued this kit right here, the 50th Anniversario edition of the Lamborghini Aventador. Well, it was also the 50th anniversary of them using Pirelli tires exclusively on Lamborghinis. So what the 15th anniversary, what this Pirelli edition 2015 Aventador is this kit the 50th Anniversario with some red line decals. And it really is quite that simple. Pretty much there are no new pieces to the 50th Anniversario kit, but there are a bunch of white, you're supposed to paint the car, I think it's metallic white actually, but paint the car white, and then there's a bunch of red piping for the interior, red line stripe that goes over the car on the outside, and then they get sort of a F1 Pirelli style logo on the tires. And that is the Pirelli edition of the Aventador. So a very, very basic conversion. Very surprised they didn't do it back when that kit was came out in 2015. Would have made sense to do it back then. But quick way to recycle that for a few extra money dollars. And then the straight reissues from Aoshima. They're just shelving restockers. You have the Nissan Fairlady Aero Z or Fairlady Z Aero Custom, the 1984 Skyline 2000 Turbo, the 2016 Toyota Crown Royal Police. Hey, why not? We're putting the one with the high-rise light bar in it. Might as well release the other one too, right? The 2011 Subaru Sandbar Fire Engine, the 1999 FD3S RX-7 Vertex Ridge Edition, the 2014 Lamborghini Huracan, and 20-inch BBS LM rims. So that, guys, will be your early and or late Christmas presents for this month. Hope you found some stuff in there to purchase. We'll be getting the Hasegawa race car stuff, obviously, as well as the new Tool Supra. And we're going to grab one of the Pirelli Edition Lamborghinis because, Lamborghini, all the things and whatnot. So anyway, hope you guys enjoyed it. See you guys on the other side.